Hello everyone, today we're going to go over how to write a lab report in APA format. I'm just in Google Docs here and I'm going to start by making a title. I'll just call it report. Your report should be in Times New Roman font with 12 font size and with double spacing. The first thing I'm going to add is a page number, just a normal page number. It should be in the same font size and font as the rest of the report. And then I'm going to center this because the first thing we should do is make our title page. I'm going to go down 3 spaces and I'm going to start with the title of my paper. I just copy pasted that. You can make any sort of title that you want. Underneath your title is going to be your name. So I'll put Miss K, that's my name. And below that is the name of your school. I'm posting this to YouTube. I don't want my information to be out there, so I'm just going to type a high school. Underneath that is the name of the department this is going for. So if you're in biology and you're writing a biology report in this APA style, you can put bio department, but this is chemistry, so I'm putting chemistry department. Underneath that is the address of the school. So again, this is on YouTube, I'm just making up an address. And the last line should be your email, your contact's email. I'm just going to put email.com. That is your title page. That should be everything on your title page. I'm going to hit Control Enter to make a page break, and we can get started on the rest of the report. On page 2, this is going to be your abstract. And an abstract is typically about 1 to 4 sentences. It's basically a summary of your entire report. You don't want to go into too much detail about this. Abstracts are very brief. They're meant to be read quick so the reader can get a general idea of what happened. And at the end of your abstract, you should include any sort of final results like your percent yield or your percent error. And that's it. It's very short, very to the point. I'm going to do another page break because the abstract should be on its own page by itself. And the next part is going to be the experimental. Oh, my bad. It's actually going to be the introduction. Accidentally skipped the introduction there. And the introduction is exactly what it sounds like. It's just an introduction to your paper. It typically gives the reader a brief intro to what the experiment will be about. So if I'm doing a recrystallization of acetaminophen, I might tell the reader what acetaminophen is for, you know, what products it's typically in. It's in Tylenol, so I might include something about that. And then at the end, I'm going to go into detail about what recrystallization is and why it's being done in this experiment. The next part is going to be called the experimental. And this describes what happened. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to type and talk at the same time. I'll just let Google fix that for me. The experimental tells the reader what happened during the experiment, what steps you did to complete the experiment. An important part of this is you do not include any sort of glassware. Do not mention glassware in the experimental. If you vacuum filtered something and then put it on a watch glass to dry, just say that you vacuum filtered it. Do not mention, you know, any sort of glassware, watch glass, nothing. No beakers, no Erlenmeyers, just straight up what happened during the experiment. The next paragraph is called the results, and again, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's just the results of your experiment. So again, you're going to mention your percent yield and error. You can talk about any sort of graphs or tables that you made during the experiment, and make sure you label those table 1, table 2. Graphs are typically labeled figure 1, figure 2, anything like that. Do not interpret your results in the results section. That is for the next section. which is called the discussion, or you can put conclusion, just anything. And in that, you're going to summarize and draw conclusions about the experiment. You can also include your percent error and yield again. Just anything that should be important to the reader. Discussion's typically the longest part of the essay. I'd say about 2 paragraphs, 5 to 10 sentences, just to give the reader a good interpretation of what the results mean for the experiment. After the discussion is the acknowledgements, and the acknowledgements are basically who you worked with during lab, where did you get, if you pulled any sort of data with people. So if you worked with, your friend Bobby, you put down, Bobby Smith and Rose Thomas, your lab partners. So I'm going to go ahead and put Miss K, Bobby Smith, and that's it. You just list them with commas. That should be a period. And period at the end. Now, typically, you're going to do a page break, and the last page should be your reference section. Some professors don't want you to do a page break, they just want you to put it right next to the acknowledgements. But your references are going to be where you write your APA sources. So if I used LibreText, I include that. If I use ChemPub, these should be in APA format. But notice how they're numbered 1, 2, because they should be in the order that you use them in your essay. So say that I mentioned LibreText in my abstract. If I had a literature value from LibreText, I would write that value. I'm going to hit Control period to get a superscript, and I'll write a 1, because that 1 is going to correspond to the 1 in my references. And I would do the same thing for ChemPub. If I had a value experimental from ChemPub, I'd put a 2 there because it corresponds to where I got that value from. And that's pretty much it for the report. As long as you have these sections, you should be good. Sometimes professors may want to exclude some parts, sometimes professors may want calculations or other parts, but this is just a general guideline of what should be in an APA report.